Anu, thank you so much for doing this. So, first, tell us where you were born and where you are living now and what connect those two places.
Yes, thanks, Mauro. Great being here. I'm now based in Finland, close by Helsinki, 20 kilometers from Helsinki, at home, COVID, pretty much staying at the home currently. Also born in Finland on the countryside, 2 kilometers, 200 kilometers away from this place. So not really in the capital area, more in the countryside, but in Finland. But I like to bring that in between these the Finnish context or the country where I've been living so many years. I also lived 4 years in US, and that's I would say has brought a lot of if thinking about the life, um, my journey those 4 years, and also many other exchange times abroad has brought my kind of a mindset and those ideas what I do currently. So definitely I wouldn't say that I'm only Finland based, which is what is a country that I love. So
Yes, I'm going to create a new question here because I read recently, maybe last year, this article saying that the Finnish are the happiest people in the planet. How do you see this uh, um, this context of Finland contributing to, like, how being Finnish and living in Finland contribute to the things that you do or your life? Like, do you think it makes things easier, harder, a little bit of both? Because, well, it's not a small thing being like the happiest people. uh, when the citizens consider themselves the happiest people in the planet.
yeah, that's a good question. And if I put a little bit more, that one is I'm actually living in a city called Kaunian, which is the happiest city even in Finland. So the happiest of happiest I should be. Um, that is a question that has been asked Finns many times, and also our country we are well known of being shy, not very proud of ourselves, and keeping kind of there's a lot of anecdotes that what we have, keep it by yourselves. So um, it's we. I'm not sure if we even have really concretized the issue for us, or if we take it just as in a way it is, and as in our kind of the privilege, the normal. But I'm my background. What I've been doing a lot of education, and then that's my also professional area. And I would say that this happiness, I also connect that to the those areas that why we can be happy and why we are happy is that there's so many kind of basic things are well handled, offered, ensured that everybody has those and we don't need to worry about those. And one of those is education. And in global sense, global thinking, that's huge thing. That is the basic thing what everybody should have. And in Finland we have made those decisions early on. Actually, not too early. That's not that long time ago. If you go back to our history, when there was really the political decisions made that everybody should have the basic education and there is no kind of a left behind. And if looking the education score, we are doing also very well there. Not maybe the top one at the moment, but close to the top. But really, there the bottom line has always been high, and that is something that we kind of take care of. Maybe we don't kind of invest in the top and brightest minds, but there's no one left behind.
That's
So
amazing.
maybe that's kind of the thing, if thinking about the happiness, that what are those things that make it so that you don't need to really think about things, and then you can calm down and focus on
Yeah.
something.
So
And
the way you are saying happiness is not the goal, but it's kind of the consequence, right?
yeah,
With which or maybe of course everyone's goal probably is our main goal is the pursuit of happiness, but maybe this is something that you achieve through a different path, and maybe we should be looking at it as like this as a consequence more than the goal itself. So you just said that this choice has been made not in such a not so long ago. My next question is a little bit broad in sense of how do you see the world? If you see the world getting better or getting worse, how do you see the world now? But it's inevitable to connect this with your with the with what you just said, thinking that in your opinion you already think that Finland improved in the sense that those choices were made, which means education was not a problem solved not so long ago, and now you have all this status of being such a happy people that you are connected with this. So how is, in your opinion, the world, like getting better or getting worse?
From my basic mindset, I'm a positive thinker, and I'm believing in people and a humanistic and a state education by heart. So I believe we are getting better. All the innovation, science, everything, we know much more, and we have all the capabilities for doing and solving the big challenges and ensuring the wealthiness for all people globally. But of course, there are challenges. There is a lot of challenges, and we might talk about those. But it's about also maybe we now are in this topic what you raised, that if the happiness is the consequences, what are then the building blocks that needs to be ensured and
For everyone.
Yeah, for everyone.
So in this sense,
So
do
that
you think
it doesn't ruin the aims?
so?
Yeah.
One thing that in a country like Brazil, looking at the Finnish experience or the Finnish example, what comes to mind is, okay, they are, I don't know, 7 million people, 5 million people. We are 210 million. Do you think that the Finnish model is scalable or can be scaled to be an alternative for the world as a model of reaching the same accomplishments and the same success that Finland did?
Yes, I do believe in that, and there is, of course, a lot of discussion around this topic and how to scale something that is so well done in a small country from the 60s or 70s, starting from the 60s and 70s, and now we are in the top. And it's like in many issues nowadays, those are systematic changes, those are complex issues. There's not one kind of a way or one thing or process to be fixed and then you can make it. So it's all a lot of about values, and one critical thing is that value in the education, value in that everybody has the opportunity for the basic education, and then also who are then giving that value in the teachers, and then going back to teacher education. So teacher education is in Finland is an academic degree, so teachers are really the professionals. They have the university degree from master degree from 4 or 5 years. They are very independent also. So there's a lot of trust. So I would say that there's kind of those huge things like trust on teachers and educating professionals who can take care, who can really make the decisions, and they are there's no supervisors in Finland for the teachers, so there is not the really strict. There is just curriculums and guidelines, but then the decisions are made on that local level. So this kind of a global local, what we have in every issue, that there you should be able to contextualize the things, and for that you need to be a professional to make it happen. So of course in Brazil, with your number of people, it's it's a huge systematic change starting and investing that, and therefore it needs to be a political decision.
Yeah, but it's interesting two things that you just said. One is the trust component, which over and over I see and read that are kind of requirement to achieve this happiness. So when you read about the Finnish experience and this level of happiness, a lot of people say that because they have a lot of they trust each other, right? And this trust gives even more than maybe not worrying about physical things or even subject things like education. It's not really not needing to worry about, can I trust this person or not? Can I trust this or not? So this trustfulness seems to be a very important component. But the other thing that you said is this kind of distributed network, right, where the nodes have are autonomous or at least have a high degree of how do you say, automacy, and to make decisions. So in a way, yes, because you're small, you probably could have a centralized system that could work because in the end you're small, but you chose to go, distributed, if I can say like this. And we are struggling so much because everyone thinks that those decisions need to be centralized, and then when you don't have all these trust components, well, maybe that's why they're afraid of distributing, because if you cannot even trust one point of failure, imagine several points of failure.
But then it comes, if you think about your daily work, would you like to be trusted and have this independency to be the professional? I think those are the very basic. Yeah. So why don't we give that for the people who are taking the most important, doing the most important job?
Yes. Well, giving freedom to act does not mean not making people accountable, right? Actually, it should be the opposite. You should be held accountable for the as Spider-Man would say, with great powers come great responsibilities, and people should have autonomy, but should be held accountable. And in this way, the system has several opportunities to correct itself, and to move forward. And talking about moving forward, what would be the challenges, Anu, that you see for this world that is getting better? Like I said, it has all these new capacities that we evolved, that we acquire to solve the problems. What are these problems that you see ahead?
Of course, at the moment, the biggest challenges is around COVID-19 and what does it mean for different countries, different areas, different regions, and also the social equality in this sense that I have the privilege of having two shots. I think you too, and but then there are many countries, and we are in the kind of a position that not everybody has this opportunity. So, and that mirrors, I think, a lot of other issues that what is happening. Then areas, unemployment, referring or related to the climate change things, poverty, global kind of we have this global movement, we have this opportunity, but also the challenges, what it brings for us. So and then I would raise again this education, the issue that how do we, this may be rough to say, but we control the world and the capabilities and people when not giving the education, and we're not giving that opportunity for educating, giving people those capabilities, their competency, skills, and autonomy to be and work and do what
So
they would like to.
ultimately, I saw this. I'm going to quote something that I saw in a. It was not really an advertisement of a MOOC, but it was it was someone talking about MOOCs, you know, the massive online open courses, and was the idea that these courses are going to release the brains of 1 billion people, because they are, and I connected with what you just said. No, we need to free these intellects, and the only way to do this, so they can be autonomous, they can be accountable, they can they can select fake news for themselves, is by giving these brains the tools to
that's a
think
great
for
topic.
themselves.
But actually, if thinking that if the biggest challenge currently is COVID, it also has taught us and giving guys this mindset that we are all stuck at home, but we can act globally. It's not about location that much. So if there's this MOOC and there's this new in global environment and no demand anymore to stay to be in one office or in a certain location. So actually, could we then solve these other challenges?
Yes.
And then
this is also this is probably, I don't think that the challenges we face with COVID are going to change the world so dramatically, so fast. We have the tendency of going back to the average, right? Whenever something very good or something very bad happens, there's this going back to the average, not really staying on the top or staying on the bottom. But I believe that we always move forward also. And one thing that I believe there's no coming back is this: we became more tolerant to the digital experience at work, which is funny if you think that we were already so comfortable with this digital experience on our private lives, right? Communicating through, even complaining that, like, people don't get together anymore, they don't hang out anymore, they are just on their social networks. But at work, that was a kind of taboo. And with the pandemic, we are kind of feeling the opposite, like everyone wants to go out and get together and socialize. And at the same time, you can see that you can do that at work, saving so much time, energy, and money. But trying not to be biased by education, which is your area of expertise, do you see those challenges, the ones that you mentioned? There are big ones, because I look at COVID and I don't see just the current situation, but the possibility that new pandemics are going to emerge, I don't know, over the next 10 years. If they cause the same harm that this one did, we are going to be in bad shits. But you mentioned the pandemic, education, and climate change. And do you think how to prioritize on this on this complex, difficult topics. And I said, you can say education, but try not to be biased.
Now this is a hard question. Can I go kind of what I have chosen? What
Yes,
challenges
of
I have
course.
chosen to work on? And now I have family also here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a living office. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
this is a living. This is when we stay at home, we work at home. But they are used on this, so we are all used. Yeah. So my question is that can I kind of prioritize or think about that from the challenges that I have started to tackle?
Of course.
Yeah.
Which I think it's the best. It's actually it's easy to say whatever you think is correct, right? But in the end, is the choices that you made that shows best how do you prioritize.
Yeah. So I think I have taken the kind of a shift from the education to more into this unemployment, which I also say that's one of the challenges, or ensuring people get a job, and because the education is one pathway for that, and there's a goal you want to educate, and especially when talking about adults, that they are looking for skills so that they can employ themselves, or they can be updated, or they can be future proofed, and so that's the topic what I've been kind of and how can we democratize that? So it's again not only thinking about in Finland, but because we have this also, I'm also very tech kind of a
Oriented.
tech oriented and tech geek. So always in my career, I have tried to figure out what are the enabling technologies that we can scale these things. And now I think that this millions of billions of people who are looking, actually, which is a huge challenge, that there is a billions of people looking for a job or education in order them to get a job or update themselves or reskill them for this in this complex world where the skill set is always redefined. So that is the topic what I've been now focusing on, that how can we democratize these type of solutions and ensure that it's people could know, and there could be enabling technologies that helps people to understand where we are going, what is needed in the organization, companies, labor market. How can we provide that information for the people? Because all that is they're existing, and I mean now that there's a data around that, and it's doable with our current technologies like AI. What is the field what I'm working on, that we can provide that information, insight, even for individuals everywhere, that these are this is like in practice, that's your skills, and that is the skills what is needed, for example, for a certain job. Where do you can get those in the MOOCs, in the internet, local trainings, where different people, for mentor advisors, and ensure people them to be future proofed. And the cool thing is that I've been now working on this for a few years, let's say from 2017, really looking at how can we future proof people, organizations, education, training organizations. And guess what? Today, I just got this Harvard Business Review came in from Post. And what is the cover? Future proof.
Future proof organizations. Yes.
Yeah. So this future proof has been kind of, I've been thinking, is it enough strong? Does people really understand how powerful word it is? But now it is. I would say no question anymore about that.
Do you think this future proof individual is it's a component of this? So how do you see this future proof individual in this future proof organization? Like which is this a component of these organizations? What is the role that they have uh, in this kind of future proof organization? Somehow, okay, let me even add something.
Yep.
I remember one sentence from John Brown in one of the talks that I attended to during the Eisenhower Fellowship, that he said the half-life of knowledge used to be 30 years, and now it's 5 years. So all these things that you're talking about of reskilling, right, and understanding what your skills are, what the skills that are required by the market, and what is the gap, how to acquire. This becomes even more important in a world where the half-life of knowledge was reduced like 5-6 times. And I believe, I imagine this can have a huge impact in the organization. So do you really think this is possible? And what is the impact of this in the organizations?
Yes, so this is again showing how complex these things are, and even how kind of a chaotic world we are living. That as you mentioned about this half-life of knowledge, so that is the burning question for the companies. How do they future-proof their business? And I would say that therefore there is all these levels needed. So companies are looking at how do they future-proof their business? How do they understand the context? How do we? And now I'm talking of what I'm doing. Like, how can we take the enabling technologies to bring this insight, because it's changing so rapidly, and now it's data, it's information there, and we can take the machines to help us, AI type of machines, to bring that know-how, understanding, contextualize what is happening from different sources, if it's from the science, if it's from the news, if it's from the people's discussions, but really bring us understanding about the topic, where bring that for the decision makers when they are making the strategies, for example, for the company. But then how it relates to the future-proofing people, I think the more and more the businesses need, their human capital is the most critical one. People who are doing that business, and they need to understand the strategy. They need to be aligned with the strategy. And the better we can also conceptualize and make that even personalized for people, and that's doable. Again, there is all that data existing. Everything is recorded somewhere. It's a qualitative data. And again, we can take the machines for that type of a purpose and make the recommendations like we have in Netflix, we have in news, we have in different entertainment areas. But bringing that into the in this field, like the future-proofing the organization. So how can we take for example, the strategy, conceptualize that, compare it, or make it visible for even every individual, so that they can align them with the strategies, they can upskill themselves, they can develop and which is then aligned with the strategy, and in that sense, kind of when there are changes, it's dynamic. It's not a stick solution, but that's what I think we are now living, that everything is can be rapidly changed, and we need to be dynamic. It's not anymore that we describe it or we do it in a fixed way in an Excel and then we stay on that, but we need to have this capability to get that insight, and therefore these current technologies like AIs would be good help on that.
No, let me ask then a question that it's a legitimate doubt. Okay, there's so much data, and these machines have the ability to help, but this data many times means more noise, doesn't it? So like it being in the field and working with it, how do you see the ability of the machines to actually find the signal inside all this noise, or it's simply going to be, like shit in, shit out? They are algorithms, they are going to create an answer, but this answer may be the formalization of noise more than really the identification of signal. How do you uh, how do you see this?
First of all, I think we need to really be critical on all these issues, the data biases, and like ensure that we have the transparency and we know what is the data source used, and we don't accept the machine's result as such. Like a machine can be like one professional bringing the insight a bit faster than digging some sources, but that's not the right answer or the only answer. Then there is this human loop, but like we have trusted on professionals doing bringing their insight. Once we know what is the source, and we need to be very critical. What is the source? What is the data about? And also, how is these machines reading it, and what type of how it's. Yeah, that is very critical that we go after the algorithms and understand who want to ensure that we know how it's developed, how, and ask for the transparency and bring those ethical issues into the discussion. So those algorithms doesn't need to be black boxes.
And that's a very good point. Like how is it possible to build a business around these algorithms and at the same time not let them be in black boxes? So I don't know. I'm thinking about intellectual property. How do you mix the business aspect of these algorithms with the transparency that is required or should be a component of the trust, not only in the decisions of the algorithms and eventually in the business around the algorithm itself?
I believe it's doable, and it should be. So we are not. It doesn't mean that you need to open all the codes or that you still have the IPRs there existing, but how it's working and providing the understanding what is the data behind and how it's like what are the ontologies or those type of things, what the machine is using, and so. And always being critical for the results, that it's not the only answer. And also the other issue is also that how do the machines handle our data? So this is a complex topic anyhow with this AI, that where is the business coming actually? Is it about the recommendations, or is it the free, but then the business is coming from somewhere else, and therefore there is some other triggers for the algorithms? So there's nothing free, I would first of all say. So we should in this field really think about the business models and require more, be ready to pay actually for the algorithms, because then we can also ask for the transparency. Could it be also on that way? I haven't
Yes.
thought about that before, but
It's interesting. I was thinking the other day that, well, I'm in the field of biotechnology, and there is a lot of prejudice against GMOs, even though like there's simply the evidence of the safety of GMOs is far stronger than the evidence that we have a climate emergency, for example. And however, the business models around GMOs were, some people would say, and I tend to agree, predatory in many senses, and that created because it was so hard to find the businesses. people focused on the technology, and it was not a problem of technology, it was a problem of business models. And today we live in a lot of the tech companies, they have us in this, like treadmill, with business models that are maybe even more predatory. And we never blame the technology, we don't even blame the companies. It looks like they are so efficient in giving us our daily dopamine shots, that people are not even paying attention. But I agree with you, the business models are going to play a very, very important role in the way we will be. It's going to have an influence on how much we can trust in
Yeah.
these algorithms to make the decisions
And
for
then
us.
even if thinking that in the next scale, that we are now living in an ecosystem where we have platforms and platform of platforms. So this is really a network of players. It's not anymore a business model in between maybe two companies or two players, but really the chain. And
Yes.
and then like AI components can be really one part of the thing, but then there is a huge kind of ecosystem of other players, systems, technologies, providers, and all that
We
stuff.
can then enter in a conversation of incentives and other stuff
Yeah,
that connect to this, but we don't have a lot of time.
yeah,
I will ask you to give us later on some directions where people can go to see the successful examples that you have on the use of these algorithms to select the skills that that we don't have the time to explore here. But I wanted to ask how people that are listening to us, how do you think they can contribute to this to this challenge that you, so like in a way, and
yeah.
you gave the way you prioritize the problem of the future that you chose to tackle. And unemployment, I think, is a problem that definitely a lot of people are going to relate to, not necessarily because of them, but because of people they care, they know. And what people can do to help, what maybe, I don't know if the question is what people can do, or what are the problems that you would need help
Mm,
on from other people, from people listening to us.
yeah. So now when we are having this discussion, I would say that because this is a complex topic, so I definitely need other players, actors, and we need to do this together. And that's what I need from people, that there is a willingness for this type of a collaboration, and understanding that there is no one tool or process that can fix again this thing. That we need to do it together, bring wise, bright minds and systems and expertises, and work together and start doing. So instead of just building nice articles or the visions and missions, everything is doable. So I'm pretty agile in making things, and start doing, and then learning, and again relearning.
Great. Anu, three rapid fire questions before we wrap up. What is the book that you are reading now?
Yeah, so of course, yesterday I was reading this Harvard Business Review, but then I also have in Finnish this one book, what was called, in English, it's called The Hidden Life of Trees. And then, so I got it from my father, and he's a big tree believer, and we have a lot of trees in Finland. And I was just in Lapland, where we have the beautiful coloring forest, very small birds, but that kind of provided me again this thinking that this is a cool book. It's about their long lives, those giant spooks, and how they are actually living in ecosystems. So somehow
Yes,
relates.
great. When, like, do you take long or short lunch breaks?
now at the COVID, it's getting shorter and shorter. but
Ooh.
but I would say that because of this, that there is this Meet, Zoom, and then Teams, the marathons during the day. But it has also, staying at home has enabled that I eat a lot. I eat daily breakfast, sometimes even lunch with my husband. I eat dinner together with my kids. I'm with them a lot of more time. And because the lunch is shorter, I might have time now more to be, and then ensure that we have together the dinner before their hobbies and then them going out. So I don't bother that much on it. Of course, I'd
Great.
love to have it longer ones, but the privilege
Great.
is to have the other.
And final question, Bitcoin, are you a believer or a non-believer?
If going back to my previous positive thinking innovator, I believe it's not yet solved, but we are in a global world. I am sure there's going to be a solution that. But
Do
if
you
it's a
have any
Bitcoin
Bitcoin? Do you have any Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency?
Not yet. I've been asking that. We have the challenge is that I gotta find a platform where to buy it, but I need
Okay.
to. I need to
Well,
dig in.
I can help you with that.
Okay, good. Let's do that.
It's going to be like let's put a task until the end of the year, help Anu get some Bitcoin.
Yeah, very good.
Dear, thank you so much. Where should we send people to find you on the internet? What is the best way to get in touch with you? Is it LinkedIn, Twitter, email? How do you prefer to be contacted?
This might be a professional now network, so any of those works. LinkedIn, Twitter, I'm in both of those for sure. Facebook also, and all of as being a tech geek, any platform works.
Any platform
and of course,
works.
welcome. Hope to see you also face to face.
Great, thank you, Anu.
Thank you so much, Mauro. Good luck for this. That was great. Very fluent discussion. Didn't think about
Yes.
these topics beforehand.